what to expect. While in his playpen. Like, what is this? That's a disgusting mess. Go to timeout right now. Sit in the chair in the kitchen. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So, first I was going to make a weight loss update, and then I couldn't due to some unforeseen circumstances. I couldn't make one this week. I'll be making one next week, so don't worry, I'm not done with those. This channel is more than just about the weight loss. That's part of my journey, but also this channel is for moms, for inspiration, for also something for, you know, my kids to look back on one day. So, as if to remind me of this, Lachlan decided to make a gigantic mess today. He was in his playpen for maybe 5 minutes as I was getting Autumn changed upstairs, and I came back down and the playpen was full of soot, and I looked at it for a moment because I just couldn't believe that his whole playpen was black with soot, and I had no idea what happened. He was a mess. The floor was a mess. Somehow, Lachlan managed to get into something while in his playpen and made a huge mess. It looks like charcoal or pen or pencil or something, but I just looked in there and he was covered in it. Like his feet and everything. So I had to take him out and throw him right in the tub, but I gave Autumn and Lachlan their bath together, which is actually a first. Usually I do it separately, but I gave them their bath together today, and it was just really nice to see them playing and splashing and having fun in the tub. It was just really cute. So today's topic is going to be about having two babies, or multiple babies, very close together in age, as a working mom, and what that's like. So I get this question a lot, you know, what is it like to have babies and work? What is it like to have multiple babies? What is it like to have babies in the same age range? Lachlan and Autumn are actually mistaken for twins often enough because of their size. Lachlan is about the same size as Autumn, even though he is only 1 year old, and Autumn is going to be 3 in May. But because they look so similar, and because they're almost the same size, and because one is a boy and one is a girl, many people think that they are twins. The way that I treat them now, honestly, is pretty much probably how I would if they were twins as well. They do a lot of things together, or we, you know, do things at the same time, like eating at the same time and things like that. So I'm not going to lie, it's very, very difficult the first few weeks that you have more than one baby, that is, especially when you have two under two. That's two babies under 2 years old. That was the hardest time of my life. It does help when you have another parent, so if you are not a single mom or a single dad and you have somebody helping you, it does really help a lot, especially for those grocery store trips and things that, you know, right now, if you don't have two babies, you might say, like, that's nothing, you know, that's quick, you know, just run to the store, grab your stuff. But when you have two under two, you have to have 2 car seats in the car. You have to have snacks and bottles packed for the babies, like in a cooler. That's what I do. You have to have their little coats, accessories, you know, shoes. It took me about an hour to get them both out on my own. And then you have to have the stroller, of course, double stroller. So it's very challenging, especially because the younger one will need more attention. They'll need the bottles, they'll need, you know, the burps, more frequent changes, more diapers, more, you know, diaper cream. Everything you can imagine, it's just doubled. So with the younger one needing more attention, then the older one starts to act out, which I'm still going through that with Autumn. The way that we did it was that I was with Lachlan trying to nurse him in the living room, and Rob would have Autumn in, you know, our bedroom playing with her toys, and to keep her motivated and busy, and, you know, not thinking that, you know, mommy's spending all of her time with, you know, her brother, and no one wanted to play with her. So to kind of situate, or to solve that situation, and so that Lachlan could take naps when he fell asleep, I had to be kind of separated and away from her, and my heart broke in pieces when that happened, because Autumn was my first baby. You know, obviously I love her very much, and it was hard for me to be not feel as though I was part of the family. To anyone that is thinking about a similar scenario, I would say not to do that. I would say to try to be as involved as possible, even though it might be actually harder for the newborn. Try to stay together as a family. Try to do everything at the same time, the same way. And for me, I think it was just because I was so stressed out with breastfeeding, and breastfeeding was very difficult. I think that that's why I isolated myself, and I would try to sleep with Lachlan on the couch, take naps with him, things like that, which was great for us. I was able to bond with him, but it kind of made this rift between me and Autumn that I'm not even sure if it's completely closed. So you have to be aware of how the older child is going to respond, and be aware that you can't give all of your attention to the new baby. You have to, of course, you know, make time for the older child. And that, for me personally, I think that is the hardest thing. You know, aside from all the work and things like that that comes with having two under two, the emotional stress was hard for me. I didn't want not to bond with Lachlan, and I didn't want Autumn to think that I was favoring Lachlan, but you also have to be careful, because the baby learns in those first few weeks, months, that it can depend on its parent. So he or she will learn, if they cry, will mommy come to help me? Will mommy be there? And that's almost, it's a trust thing. You know, they learn they can depend on you as a parent. And I wanted Lachlan to have that, you know, satisfaction, knowing that he could trust me and that I would be there. It's just very hard knowing what to delegate to the other parent. Rob had offered to take Lachlan when he was first born, you know, to feed him and things like that so I could sleep, and I couldn't, because I said, well, you know, we need to bond first, and I need to try to get my milk production up, and I need to be constantly with him. And that's all fine and good, but at some point you can lose sense of what's going on, and, you know, who needs more attention, and yourself as well. So, I mean, anybody who is a parent watching this knows that you, as a mom, you lose sense of yourself when you have a newborn. You know, the newborn takes all, every moment of your time, you know, and you're completely at the service of your newborn. So eventually we started getting more of a routine. As Lachlan became older, and as I became more, I don't want to say energetic, but when I started to bounce back a little bit more from pregnancy, it's become easier. Now, you know, we play together, you know, things are done together, you know, we're able to have good times as a family, and I'm able to balance both of the babies. So another thing that's difficult is getting the babies out of the house. So when they're 2 under 2, sometimes one of them can walk, sometimes neither of them can walk. Autumn was walking after I had Lachlan. She was already walking, so that made things easier, but she still needed help. You know, she needed help down the stairs. I would have to hold her hand. So I usually would have to take one baby out to the car and then the other baby out to the car. As they're older now, Autumn is able to walk mostly on her own, so I can hold her hand and sling Lachlan over my shoulder and carry him. When you have a car seat, that might be a little tricky. You can still carry, one baby in a car seat and the other one over your arm, or just hold their hand if they can walk. But these are things that you have to kind of plan out ahead of time. I was lucky to have my car very close to the house when I was living with my grandmother, so it was right in front of the house. There's no stairs, so I could just quickly run out, put Lachlan in his car seat, or Autumn in her car seat, and then get the other one and put them in their car seat. And I would lock the car in between so that I knew that they were safe and secure. Nobody was going to take them out. So obviously you have to be real quick with that, because of course, like in heat and cold, you don't want the babies to be uncomfortable while they're waiting. The tricky part, though, with that is when, let's say I take Autumn out to the car, and then I come in to get Lachlan, and he has a blowout. So then he's covered completely and needs to be changed. His pants need to be changed, his diaper needs to be changed, he needs to be wiped down and cleaned. That takes a while, so sometimes you have to put them down, go back out, go get the other child, bring them back in. I can't tell you how many times where it was so back and forth. Like, it looked like an episode of Scooby-Doo where everyone's just running around. That's kind of how my life feels, actually, now that I think about it. It's kind of my life is like Scooby-Doo. So that takes a lot of time. So it really can take 1 to 2 hours to get babies ready and out of the house if you're by yourself. Now, when my husband was here, it was great, like when he was able to be there with us in the beginning, because then he could take Autumn and I could scoop Lachlan up, and out we went, and it was good. And then, we could, like, one person could carry the diaper bag, the other person could carry the cooler bag, and it's much easier that way. So if you have somebody to help you, then, you're good. It still takes planning, though, because there were times where I thought that he had the diaper bag and he didn't have it, and we were out, and then, both babies have blowouts, and then there's no diaper bag. So, planning it ahead of time is going to be so crucial. Also, having supplies in the car in case of whatever. Bedtime is another tricky one. Depending on your house, your circumstances, if you have enough rooms in your house, bedtime can be a little tricky. The way that we do it now is I put Lachlan down first and Autumn helps me. If you have an older child or a toddler, make sure they're helping you with feeding, with putting the babies down, bath time, whatever that they can help with, that you trust that they can help with, because that will help miles and miles with their kind of attention seeking and feeling left out. So when Autumn helps me, she's able to understand, okay, I'm a big girl, I can help my brother, mommy needs me, I feel important. So her mood towards her brother changed so much when she was able to start helping me with him. So now she looks at him more as, I don't want to say responsibility, but as a big sister helping her little brother, then an imposter is in the house that needs to be removed. So when she helps me, turn on his little musical lamp at night, give me his bottle to give to him, bring me his book, things like that, it not only is it helpful for me, but like I said, it just makes her so much happier. So that's what we do. I put him down, and right now he's in our room, even though he has his own room, but we're not going to go there right now. But he is in our room, so I put him down and give him his bottle. We start his lamb, and then I'll read him a book, and then we'll close the door and we'll go into Autumn's room. Now, if you are in a living situation where you're either all together in the same room, or the babies are in the same room together, that's just something you have to be careful with, because depending on the toddler, they might be able to crawl out of their crib or get out of their bed and go over and antagonize the baby, or keep them up, or throw things at them or whatever when you're not awake. So that's just something to keep in mind. Autumn was always really good with that, but she would sometimes say his name, try to wake him up, things like that. So At our old house with my grandmother, I had him in the living room, and we would all sleep in our room together. Now with this house, we all have a separate room, but Lachlan's just in our room still. So eventually he'll be able to go into his room, and then that'll solve a lot of problems. But you know, I'm able to put each baby down separately, and for me that's more of like a paying specific individual attention to each one. So that'll be really good for the toddler, especially knowing that, you know, she or he gets that special attention from mommy or daddy or both. So we really make a big deal out of bedtime. I read her books, and we used to sing songs to her, but because she's going to be 3, we just recently decided that we probably shouldn't do that every time, especially because we're not, you know, always there, like when she takes naps in the daytimes and things, so other people aren't going to sit down and sing to her. So we have just started, you know, kind of easing out of that. And she's been doing really well. She's very independent. She gets into her little toddler bed, and she, you know, holds her stuffed animal, covers herself up, and she goes to sleep after the books and everything. So having that routine really kind of makes things workable for you and for them. Autumn is big enough to now, you know, eat with us, and she doesn't even need to be in a high chair. She sits at the table. When she was in a high chair, it was tricky because we only have one high chair. So again, that's thinking about the supplies that you have and how to make them work. But when she was at a high chair, I would just hold Lachlan in my arms and give him bottles, or put him in a swing or something like that. But now that he's bigger, he definitely wants to be involved. So when we moved into this house, I started putting him in the high chair because he was just gigantic anyway. So I just put him in there because he could fit. And I was planning on swapping them and putting him in, and then, you know, taking him out, putting Autumn in. But then Autumn just showed so much interest in wanting to sit at the table like a big girl, and she was able to, that I just decided she doesn't even need to be in a high chair anymore. So thinking about arrangement is really important with 2. So you have to figure out which one is at the right size to move out of a high chair or into a high chair. Are they ready for table food or not? You know, things like that. Lachlan, even though he's 1, I think because he's teething so much, he does not want solid food. He only wants puree, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. Autumn was already eating eggs and things, you know, at this age, and he just still doesn't want to try anything, like not even like vegetables, like cooked vegetables and things. So we're kind of waiting on that, but he does eat a lot of puree and a lot of formula. So that's kind of pricey now. But he's doing really well with what he does eat, and he sits at the table because he loves to be like around everybody. You know, maybe it's a younger child thing, but he just loves to be, you know, sitting down with us eating. He'll get very upset if we're in there eating and he's not. So bath time is another one that was tricky for a bit. I mentioned that we, you know, used to do it separately and now together, because you don't know how they're going to react if you put them both in the tub. You know, will the older one accidentally knock the smaller one over? You know, will they try to splash them, get water in their eyes? Things like that. You don't know how they'll react, so you have to be very cognizant of, is the older one ready for something like that? And then when you do, you have to really watch. I really watched them and stood right there so that I could manage, you know, anything that happened. But it turned out great, so I think that's what we'll do in the future. So morning routines are also super important. With the morning routines, you have to think about which baby to wake up first. If one of them wakes up naturally before you go to work, then that's the one that, you know, that you should kind of deal with first and dress them, feed them, get them ready. For me, that's always Lachlan. Lachlan is the early bird still because he's so tiny. Well, he's so young compared to Autumn, and, you know, he just kind of naturally wakes up early for that feed. So he's up first, and I get him ready, dressed, even though he fights me like a little crocodile. But I get him ready and dressed and fed, and then put him in his playpen while I go upstairs and get Autumn ready. And she is, because of her age, she wants to sleep, which is great, you know, on the weekends sometimes. But yeah, she's the one that doesn't want to get up, so it takes a little bit more work with her. And then I get them both out the door, and now I just hold Autumn's hand while I carry Lachlan and take them to the car so that I don't have to make 2 trips. But I get a lot of steps in the morning. I mean, I can get 1,000 steps in before I even leave, which is, you know, good for working out and, you know, losing weight, but not so good when you're rushing trying to get to work, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, so I hope that this was helpful if you were considering having 2 babies and knowing some of the things that you're going to get into if you are currently pregnant or expecting or planning on having them. I suppose that a lot of this could work too if you're having twins, you find out that you have twins. So please let me know in the comments below if you have the same kind of situations, or if there's anything that you tried that made it smoother for you having 2 under 2 or having 2 that are close to the same age. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next week with my weight update, and also some spring videos are coming soon. So thank you guys, I'll see you next time.